Hey, welcome to the second video in this free course about how to figure out whether becoming an academic life coach is the right career move for you. And today what I want to do is talk you through some different approaches to academic life coaching just to make sure that you're choosing the approach that is best suited to your passions and your interests and your orientations to working with young people and with students specifically. So first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about tutoring because a lot of my clients do call me a tutor, even though I call myself an academic life coach. And I'm very clear that for me, tutoring is different than academic life coaching. Sometimes I do both at the same time because many times my clients have trouble organizing both their things and their thoughts. So I do consider myself to be a writing tutor as well. And I'm very good at helping students figure out how to learn subjects better, like math, or even though I'm not a math person, or history and all of their other subjects, but I don't do that by tutoring. A tutor, as I see it, is somebody who helps explain content that a student is having trouble getting. And so they teach it again and again until the student gets it. An academic life coach, on the other hand, is much more curious about why aren't you understanding this information in the first place? What's going on with your learning process that is making it hard for you? Sometimes that's because there's something wonky going on in the brain, and that's where learning differences come in. And sometimes it's just that students haven't learned how to learn. So it's amazing to me with math in particular how I'm able to help a student figure out how to solve the math problem just by directing them to their textbook or to their notes and by walking them slowly and methodically through how to process all of those different resources. And then, and this is what's really important, help the student notice what helped them and turn that into a ritual or a routine or a learning habit so that they can do it over and over and over by themselves. I often see that students become dependent on tutors, but they become independent with academic life coaches. I'm sure there are many tutors who might be listening to this who might disagree with me about that, but it is something that I have seen over and over and over again, that my students will actually not learn how to study for a test because they just know they're going to go see their tutor later on. So that's tutoring. The second approach to academic coaching comes from an education perspective, and that's the one that I was trained in by Beth Samuelson, who at Student Organizational Services, and she was also a former teacher. And I put here academic coaching because that's what Beth calls herself. I, though, about 3 years into doing this work, put the word life in there, academic life coaching, because I noticed that there were times that the students and I needed to stop talking about academics and start looking at what else was going on in their lives. Perhaps it was things that make their motivation really hard. Perhaps there are some personal issues going on, or sometimes, it was just needing to help them plan their extracurriculars better so that those didn't infringe on their academic lives. So in the second approach to academic coaching, that is the approach that I teach, the fundamental direction that we start with is studying time management, organization, so actual hard skill strategies that students need to be successful, but we also deal with their full lives, so that's why I put the word life in there. The third approach here is an approach that is taught by John Andrew Williams, and he actually has the website academiclifecoaching.com. And I believe, I don't know for sure if John would agree with me, but I've worked with many folks who've come out of his program, and it seems to me that the emphasis there is actually life coaching for teenagers. But because teenagers are students and students have academics, you can't divorce academics from life, and therefore John put, I'm writing this in here, John put the word academic there in front, academic life coaching. And so that orientation is primarily a life coaching model, and certainly folks who go through John's program are able to be ICF certified. That's the International Coaches Federation. And And they also do some work around academics, but what I've seen is that unless folks who are ALC trained are teachers, they sometimes don't know a lot of the learning strategies that I teach in my anti-boring approach coach training program. And I really believe for the most ideal academic coaching, both are necessary to be able to have great study strategies and to be able to really work with students about their motivation and their mindset and some of the things that are a deeper level that may be holding them back. The final approach, number 4 right here, is ADHD and executive function coaching. And I think there are a lot of models for this, but the one that I've seen and really admire out there is Jody's sleeper triplet. And this approach is a different model. And our approach is here, we do about 1 hour a week with students. And Jody's, because so many of her students have attentional deals, the coaching often looks like just half-hour sessions. And there's a real focus on executive function skills. If you're watching these videos and you don't know what executive functions are, I highly recommend you Google it. It's outside of the scope of what we're going to be covering in this free course, but it's essential for all 3 of these, and I would even say all 4 of these kinds of coaching and working with kids, for you to understand what executive functions are and how you can support students with them. So these are all great models. These 3 all have coach training programs. I have the anti-boring approach coach training program, which we'll be looking at more later in this free course. But you might want to look into all 3 of these, because especially if you're thinking about moving on and working with me in our coach training program, I really want to make sure that my style of coaching is the style that you especially want to dive in and learn and use as the basis for starting your business. So we'll be looking at some of that in our next webinars and videos. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever this is for you.